style cricket at its best. 1 minute down, next minute up.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Generation Gap podcast. I'm Taimur. That's Daniel Ahmed. Before we start, a message from our sponsor, the Karachi Kings, putting the L in PSL. Let's
Yeah.
let's continue with our coverage of the Border Gavaskar Trophy and the latest happenings after the third Test match. So, kind of a big surprise, honestly. Wasn't really expecting Australia to get that one win after the last test match जो हमारी आपस में बात हुई थी. मुझे लग नहीं रहा था कि they would even secure that. I thought maybe a draw, शायद draw कर लें at most, but a win was not something I was expecting, and even less so I was expecting them to get a win on a spinning track. But
Yeah.
I would actually say कि your analysis was pretty spot on. जो तुमने बात की थी लास्ट टाइम की कि the reason why India has been winning is not because their batsmen are better at playing spin, but just that they have a better quality of spinner in their team. And in the one test match, they weren't really performing at that level. Australia ended up winning that game because again the Indian team collapsed twice. One time I think 103 के आसपास, one time they only made like 160 something or 159 or something उन्होंने score बनाया था, but again it wasn't really it was below 200. तो वही बात है कि that entire situation, I think you've kind of been justified in saying that the Indian team no longer plays spin to the same level that we were kind of used to. At one time India used to have, like, especially I mean even like their all of their batsmen throughout, even जिनको बहुत ज़्यादा rate नहीं करते थे, they were excellent players of spin bowling because they would play Ranji Trophy जहाँ पे primarily that's what they had to do for most of the matches. कि आपके पहले 10 ओवर में fast ball होते थे and then you would end up playing like 80 overs of spin or something. So अब वो उस तरह की चीज़ नहीं रही है. They are far less used to it, and there's only a couple of players, maybe Kohli to some extent, who can play spinners better. But उसके अलावा I don't think there's that many guys out there who are that good at playing spin. I mean, consider the fact that at this time the second highest run scorer in the series is Akshar Patel. Again, another big surprise. I wasn't really expecting that. It's Rohit Sharma and then it's Akshar Patel.
I think I realized this on these tracks, getting a 50 is equivalent of getting 100, and getting 100 is equivalent of getting a double century. And this is true in the sense that I think the best batting that anyone has done throughout this particular match was Usman Khwaja, and he only scored 60 runs. But I think 60 runs on this pitch is a huge deal.
No. Good.
So yeah, it's
because
those
I
kind
didn't
of.
see the match, but I think you were seeing parts of it where you were telling me कि जी even day one maybe literally pitch जो है वो explode कर रही थी.
On impact, it exploded on him. सामने सामने.
अच्छा, it was that bad. Because I remember there were some pitches like way back, शायद इंग्लैंड की सीरीज तो आज से कुछ साल पहले थी जिसमें इस तरह से हो रहा था, like day one के ऊपर pitches जो हैं like literal explosion on impact type किस्म की उन्होंने pitches बनाई हुई थी, which I've seen after quite a long while now. कि इतनी ज्यादा जो मतलब ठीक है, we have used the term rank turner जो है हमने उसको डिस्कस किया था कि नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन में होती है, लेकिन आई थिंक देयर इज नो अदर वर्ड फॉर इट देन रैंक टर्नर फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर पिच जो उन्होंने बनाई थी. बट गोइंग इनटू इट, आई थिंक जिस हम बात की थी, जो हमारी प्रेडिक्शन थी, वी weren't really थिंकिंग कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया का कोई चांस है. But I'm surprisingly they managed to do it, but I think you had a take on this as well. That it has to do something with captaincy, right?
Yeah, I think this is an L by all bowler captains, because the moment Pat Cummins left and Steve Smith came back, बहुत आराम से जीत गए. And I mean, it's a bit, honestly, I don't know but what the sentiments of the Australian Cricket Board is, but I really do think Steve Smith should return to captaincy full time by this point. Clearly he has shown more aptitude than Pat Cummins. So not that Pat Cummins is a bad captain, I think he's an excellent captain. But I think what he has shown Steve Smith is, out of the two captains, he is the better captain. And
लेकिन आई
Steve
थिंक
Smith
स्टीव
is
स्मिथ
about
का तो और मसला स्टीव स्मिथ का तो और मसला हो गया था ना. देयर वाज he got and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he removed from captaincy because of the
from
entire incident, the ball tampering incident,
yeah sandpaper gate की वजह से वो
and
निकाल
paper
दिया गया
gate
था
की
उसे.
वजह से. हाँ,
Yeah.
आई थिंक वो तो एक मसला है that's there, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली उसकी वजह से उसका वापस आना जो है वो probably possible नहीं है इस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में. जिस तरह से वो आ गया सो आ गया, बट otherwise I don't think you can actually bring him in without actually having to address that problem. और उसको तो एड्रेस नहीं कर सकते. बड़ी मुश्किल से उनको टीम में वापस लाया गया था, पहले उनको टीम से भी निकाल दिया था.
Since we're on the topic, I
हम्म?
I remember back when it happened, and even to this day, I still cannot believe the Australian media made such a huge deal out of this whole sandpaper situation. In the sense,
हम्म.
the former prime minister of our country has videos on the internet where he's listing down all the ways he has tampered the ball. वो हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर है और वहां
अरे
पे ऑस्ट्रेलियंस आर चीट्स, दिस इज अ डिस्ग्रेस. आई एम लाइक चिल यार, सिर्फ मतलब सैंड पेपर लगाया है बॉल पे. बट it's to a point ke someone who is an established captain by this point is serving as a vice captain because
हाँ.
the media wave has not removed David Warner का अभी तक captaincy gap ban खत्म नहीं हो रहा.
हम्म.
But yeah, it's again. I think I'm not against Pat Cummins as a captain. I think he's a good captain, but he still has at least 7 to 8 years left in his career. Steve Smith
हम्म.
maybe 4 or 5 years. I really think if for the time being they should have Steve Smith as captain because he's good. I mean, he beat India in India. इससे बड़ी बात क्या हो सकती है? So
हम्म. एग्जैक्टली. आई मीन हाँ, एग्जैक्टली. आई थिंक उस सेंस में तो डेफिनेटली एक चीज के हक में काउंट करती है. ऑफ कोर्स आई वुड इमेजिन कि द इंडियंस वर प्रोबेबली they maybe took their foot off the gas. ये कहा जा सकता है क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली दे रियलाइज कि सीरीज तो हम जीत गए हैं, 2 टेस्ट मैचेस रह गए हैं. Maybe they weren't trying as hard as they might have in like the earlier test matches, so that's something that was an advantage that they had as well going into this test match. But again, on a spinning track in India, beating India is not easy.
yeah,
Whatever you might think about that, I think definitely that's something you have to give to him. And in terms of अगर बात की जाए ये जो आप बात करते बॉल टैम्परिंग की बात की थी, तो आई मीन उससे पहले भी बड़े फेमस इंसिडेंट्स थे. आई थिंक उसका था माइकल एथरटन का था. आई थिंक he was caught applying like dirt to a ball. उसके अपने जेब के अंदर रखी हुई थी. Like he had dirt inside his pocket. You know about this? Because ये पुरानी किस्सा है. This was like in the late 90s actually. Michael Atherton was actually caught ball tampering because he had dirt in his pocket and he just kept अपने जेब से निकाल के उसके ऊपर वो लगा रहा था. Waqar Yunus was incidentally penalized at one point क्योंकि and he was very clever. I have to say वकार यूनुस ने सबसे क्लेवर तरीके से की थी बॉल टेम्परिंग कि वो बॉल जो थी ना वो उसको रब करा था अपनी पैंट के ऊपर. अब पैंट की जगह पे देयर इज अ जिप, और जिपर का नहीं होता वो थोड़ा सा लाइक अ metallic part of the zipper, वो उसके ऊपर वो रब कर रहा था. So that was actually damaging the ball a lot more. उसको रफ अप करने में मदद कर रहा था. हाँ, so that was actually very clever. I have to give it to him. But वो भी किस तरीके से कैमरा से पकड़ लिया उस चीज को, जिसकी वजह से बाद में उसको फाइन हुआ था. And I think they actually got rid of that as well कि you're not allowed to rub the ball in that area. या उन्होंने पैंट से वो जिपर्स वगैरह रिमूव कर दिए थे. Something happened, they regulated it later on. लेकिन काफी अरसा वकार यूनुस इस तरह से करता रहा था. So there's quite a few people who've been caught ball tampering. अगर उस तरह से कहा जाए तो we can see that it's like a grand old tradition of cricket जो कि अभी तक चली जा रहा है. They use sandpaper, हमने zippers use किए थे, मैंने dirt use की थी.
Alan Border तो कहता है इसमें कोई बुराई नहीं है, just permit ball tampering, and it's the most bizarre thing to propose because what do you mean कि ball tampering allow कर दो? Like people can just bring in छुरियां into the field और सबके सामने ये शुरू हो जाए.
नहीं, हम तो अफरीदी को लेकर जाएंगे ना फिर. अब हम अफरीदी का मुंह खोलेंगे क्यों कहते हैं किसको निकालेंगे. ऑफिशियल बॉल टेम्परर ऑफ पाकिस्तान, उसके लिए अफरीदी को रखा जाएगा.
Yeah.
वो तो मतलब उसके लिए हम अपने स्पेशल जो है वो प्लेयर को असाइन किया जाएगा उस काम के लिए. कुछ तो होता है ना आपके एक बंदे का काम भी होता है कि बॉल को रब करना है आपने, ही हैज टू टेक केयर ऑफ द बॉल एंड ऑल दैट. तो उस तरह से हम बाकायदा अफरीदी को लेके जा सकते हैं. अभी दिस इज वेरी सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ थिंग. मुझे याद है एक देयर वाज अ स्टैंड अप रूटीन अबाउट दिस कि यार आप उसमें स्पोर्ट्स के अंदर अलाउ कर दें स्टेरॉइड यूज, हर कोई स्टेरॉइड यूज कर ले, इस तरह की बात की जा रही थी। तो इट्स अपेरेंटली अ बिट लाइक दैट कि जी आप सबको अलाउ करते हैं, जी हर कोई स्टेरॉइड्स ले ले, कोई मसला नहीं है।
I mean, if you imagine अगर नहीं, not even that, don't permit them, make it mandatory ताकि सब स्टेरॉइड यूज में इक्वलाइज हो जाए सारा पोटेंशियल, ठीक है।
हाँ, और
And
जो ज्यादा नए और यूनिक तरीके निकाल सके बॉल टेम्परिंग करने को, एडवांटेज हासिल हो जाएगा। सेम जैसे क्रिकेट के अंदर टैक्टिक्स आप नए लेके आते हैं, तो बॉल टेम्परिंग के अंदर नए टैक्टिक्स लेके आ जाए
yeah,
एसेंशियली।
exactly.
अच्छा ठीक सही है। सो
Commentators बोल रहे हो, just like they said about DRS, right? कि like, oh, an essential part of captaincy is knowing when to take a review. Then it will
हाँ
be an essential part of captaincy is the creative ways you can fuck with the ball.
बिल्कुल। चले, मूविंग aside from the ball tampering incident, इनिंग्स में जो हम बात कर रहे थे, I think let's talk about like the key sort of innings that we play. I think you were mentioning Khwaja's inning, जो 62 मारा था. Do you think the second innings में जो I think Travis Head ने खेला था was, would you consider that to be as important, or do you think कि already काम जो है पहले हो चुका था, they were bound to chase it? Because I think वही बात थी कि कुछ हद तक तो हमें भी लग रहा था कि शायद कुछ होता है, 70 रन चेस करना might become a problem on this pitch even, उसमें फंस सकते हैं. But in terms of like key innings, do you think it was like primarily ख्वाजा का ही उसमें ज़्यादा role था, like in terms of that, or do you think उसके अलावा भी that particular innings in the second inning was also equally important?
No, I'll go with Travis Head. But I think there are two different circumstances within cricket. I do think कि ख्वाजा की वैसे ही मैच जीते हैं, because वैसे
Hmm.
तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया का भी कुछ हो रहा था, जो essential runs जो आए हैं जिससे डिफरेंस बना है वो ख्वाजा की थे। तो essentially जो eventually lead बनी थी that was of 78 runs, ख्वाजा made 60, so that does have an
Hmm.
impact. Um,
Hmm.
but I think in terms of, I remember कल मैंने आपको बोला था कि like वो जब टारगेट दिया था तो आई वाज लाइक कि दिस इज 78 रन्स, बट आई फेयर कि तब तक 5-6 विकेट्स ना गिर जाए, बिकॉज अगेन पिच का हाल तो सबको पता है।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
I think in that context, Travis Head must be praised for what he's done. The interesting thing about Travis Head is कि going as a fan of the Australian team and as someone जो जब Australian summer होता है तो मैं सुबह को जल्दी उठ के क्रिकेट देख रहा होता हूँ। I I've been following Travis Head. He is your new age David Warner in a lot of ways, in the sense that he's only good in Australian pitches. He even struggles in England. He's that kind of player.
Hmm.
But when he is within his turf and when he's within Australia, he is a phenomenal player. He is like, मतलब he plays like basketball type cricket.
Hmm.
And उसका रोल यही है, वो नीचे आता है, नीचे मारता है, aggressive cricket खेलता है. He's very good, high average, all that, but he struggles in Asian conditions as well. So I remembered when he was not picked for the first test, um, everyone in like the amongst the Australian fans, everyone was complaining why was Travis Head not picked, and I was like, why would
Hmm.
they pick him? He is really bad in Asian conditions.
Hmm.
He's so bad that he's in Pakistan, and
हाँ
when nobody was trying. So Fawad Alam was the
exactly.
same time. So basically, वही बात है. So in that sense, I think he has improved his game for him to. I think इससे ज़्यादा tough Asian condition तो कोई भी नहीं हो सकती, कोई भी नहीं हो सकता.
Exactly.
So to that conditions, you have really shown yourself as a cricketer. He's clearly a future Australian captain. He's really good, and yeah, good for him.
Hmm. And I think in this regard, चले बैटिंग की तो हमने बात करी, इंडियन बैटिंग में आई मीन टू बी ऑनेस्ट, लेट्स सेट द बेटर जो आपने बात कर ली थी, आई थिंक ओवरऑल दैट कंसीडर, क्योंकि उसमें कोई देयर इज नो लाइक स्टैंड आउट इनिंग्स देयर टू बी ऑनेस्ट. कोहली ने थोड़ा बहुत कोशिश की थी खेलने की, बट I'm not going to touch that too much. But primarily what I do want to talk about is again another starting with a surprising fact that right now Nathan Lyon has more wickets in this series than Ashwin, which I found to be quite surprising. And coming back to the fact कि हमने पहले भी Nathan Lyon की बात की थी, I think before the series, where I said कि he actually has a very decent average in Asia. एंड इसमें उसकी एवरेज आई थिंक ऑस्ट्रेलिया और एशिया की एवरेज को बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क भी नहीं है, सो इट्स प्रीटी कंसिस्टेंट ओवरऑल. But वो बात है, for him to take 8 wickets was definitely a huge surprise for me. I didn't think कि वो इतनी ज़्यादा wickets ले पाएगा, but I mean there you have it. The guy actually performed really well, and I think वो बात है कि he doesn't really get the kind of respect that he deserves. I think the kind, especially in the way he was used, and maybe his average is not that impressive. Like, I think you were making a very good point about his average, right?
Okay, no, so I have 2 points. So firstly, what's interesting about him is that when I was watching the Ashes last year, so उसका scene ये चल रहा था कि he was stuck at 399 wickets, and he got
अच्छा.
his 400th wicket on the Ashes. And Ashes it concluded in 2022. So basically, in the span of like 1 year, he has taken 79 wickets, which is just a lot of wickets, but particularly in like his age. Like this is some Shane Warne's levels of like wicket taking.
Yeah.
But खैर वो his average, I think वो बात ये कि जिस तरह उसको use किया जाता है, he concedes a lot of runs. So it's to a point that right now he has around 14,000 something runs and he has 479 wickets. So that makes it an average of 31. But what's interesting is I did calculate this and I did see possible scenarios. His average is so bad in the sense that the runs that he's already conceded in his career is so bad that even if he were to take 600 wickets, but only while doing that he only concedes about 2,000 runs. तब भी उसकी average is around 30 to 29. So he's at a point of no return. Nothing he can do at this point to like have a respectable average by the end of his career. And I guess that was never the plan with him. The plan was कि ये लंबे लंबे over करवाएगा while the 3 fast bowlers that Australia has take a rest.
The point you've already made, I think the discussion we've already had, maybe on a podcast or off air as well. जहाँ बात वही हो रही थी कि for a spinner to have an average of 30 is actually pretty good. हम बात करें कि even Abdul Qadir had an average of around 30, right?
Yeah.
So even that, I mean, अगर 30 के आसपास की average रहती भी है, that means he's actually a pretty good test bowler. What matters more is actually wickets कितनी ली हुई हैं. He has over 500 wickets, right? I mean, you can't really argue against that. I don't think there's any Pakistani bowler that I know who has 500 test wickets, right?
Inshallah Shaheen.
इंशाल्लाह शाहीन 200 ले जाए तो बड़ी बात है. इंजरीज कितने मसाइल हैं, लेकिन हाँ, तो मैं कह रहा था the highest is Wasim Akram with like 400 something, right? Or he has 500 wickets, मुझे exactly भूल रहा है. But he has more in ODI cricket than in Test cricket, if I remember. हाँ.
It's 414.
हाँ, 414.
I know this. I know because Wasim Akram का perfume आया था, उसका नाम 414 था.
414. हाँ, उस तरह से हमें याद है. लेकिन हाँ, वही बात है कि नेथन रायन को बहुत sort of underrate किया जाता है, but he performed exceptionally well in this series. And now I think what we can look forward to is the World Test final जो होगा, इनका championship का जो final होगा. Where exactly are they holding that? That's in England, right?
That's in England. I think now I'm rooting for Australia more than anything, because if Australia wins this or if Australia even draws this, no, if they draw this, they lose the series. But if they win this, that means it's 2-2, and then they resolve that in the World Test Championship. So it's really just a matter of like, I mean, I hope they do it. They played very well, and what's interesting now is the fact that we Indian fans are now complaining about the pitch, which I think so. We had a lot of conversations where we kept saying, "Oh, गोरों को बस hysteria हो जाता है rank turners के ऊपर, or like Asian conditions के ऊपर, they have a sense of racism about it." But they do. गोरों को आप हल्की सी भी स्पिन दे तो उसको रैंक टर्नर बोलेंगे. उन्होंने मुल्तान की पिच को रैंक टर्नर बोल दिया तो हल्की सी स्पिन कर रही थी. But I think one thing we can all agree on, whether we're an Australian fan or like an England fan or Indian fan or Pakistani fan, is that ICC should have some monopoly of authority over these pitch conditions. So ICC already gives demerit points, but nobody really cares about them, because firstly you need 4 demerit points for you to be banned for 12 months. So that's not a punishment in any way. So
बिल्कुल
yeah, so there needs to be
पाकिस्तान में
stricter
तो वैसे
punishment.
टेस्ट मैच को 12 महीने बाद उस पे हो रहा होता है
Exactly. So
तो कहते हैं दे दो, कोई मसला नहीं है। पिंडी को हमने दो दफा डिमेरिट पॉइंट्स मिल चुके हैं।
हाँ
नेक्स्ट टेस्ट में पिंडी में कोई साल बाद होगा तो इट डजंट रियली मैटर। तो
yeah.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है, वो उस टाइम फट्टे बनाते रहेंगे पाकिस्तान के अंदर तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ने वाला ना। वो तो दैट्स फॉरगेट दैट पॉइंट। लाइक आई मीन हाँ, इन द सेंस के एक हद तक आप कहते हैं रेगुलेशन होनी चाहिए। आई डोंट नो हाउ मच वी कैन गो विद इट या हाउ फार वी कैन गो विद इट, क्योंकि मुझे वही लगता है कि इट्स वन ऑफ दोस इश्यूज कि अगर आप कंट्रोल देंगे तो कितना कंट्रोल देंगे। ऑब्वियसली इट्स वन ऑफ दोस थिंग्स जहां लोग कहते हैं जी फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच में जैसा कि दफा बात की जाती है कि अच्छा ठीक है, मे बी आप जो है हर चीज अलाउ कर दें, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली देन किसको कहेंगे कि तुम गलत कह रहे हो, तुम सही करो, एंड देन हु गेट्स टू डिसाइड एंड व्हाटएवर। इस तरह की चीज वाली डिस्कशंस में भी आ जाती है कि अच्छा आप अगले बंदे को देंगे तो कितनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देंगे, कौन बताएगा कि ये पिच सही है, कौन क्या गलत है। इससे आगे नहीं जाना, इससे पीछे नहीं जाना। इट एड्स अ सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ कॉम्प्लिकेशन टू इट व्हिच यू कैन डू सो इफ यू वांट टू। लेकिन वही बात है कि मोस्टली पीपल ट्राई टू अवॉइड दैट कि ठीक है यार उनको बनाने दे। लेकिन हाँ, पिच डेंजरस ना हो वो आई थिंक एक अपनी जगह पे पॉइंट है, क्योंकि बात वही है कि आई थिंक देयर इज अ नेचुरल करेक्शन फॉर दिस इन द सेंस कि इंडिया और उन्होंने बनाई है पिच, वो खुद टेस्ट मैच हार गए। आई डोंट थिंक दे विल मेक अ पिच लाइक दिस अगेन। खुद उनको एक डिसएडवांटेज उससे मिला है। तो आई थिंक अगली पिच अगर बनती भी है तो दे वोंट ट्राई टू मेक इट स्पिन दैट मच, दे स्टिल मेक अ स्पिनिंग ट्रैक ऑब्वियसली, लेकिन उनको हो गया चले इससे डिटीरिएट तो कम से कम ना करे ना, हमें उसका नुकसान उल्टा हो रहा है। तो आई थिंक वो चीज एक है कि एक हद तक, क्योंकि ज्यादा एक पिच उन्होंने बनाई थी मुझे आई थिंक जो रूट ने 5 विकेटें ले ली थी, क्या हुआ था वे बैक। हाँ इंग्लैंड के उस मतलब वो जो है वो शेन वॉर्न लगना शुरू हो गया था ऐसी उन्होंने कंडीशंस बना दी थी, यू स्पिनिंग द बॉल ऑफ फुट। तो वही बात है कि एक हद तक तो आपको भी डिसएडवांटेज जब मिलेगा तो खुद से सॉर्ट ऑफ सेल्फ करेक्शन भी होगी उस चीज में। मे बी दैट कैन आल्सो हेल्प टू मेक द पिचेस अ लॉट मोर at least the condition of the pitch is a bit more easier for batsmen, or at least a bit more even for batsmen and for bowlers as well. तो I think वो एक चीज की जा सकती है। But I think अगर IC को देंगे तो I feel like that's a kind of a complication, but वही बात है कि हर बंदे का अपना उसमें opinion है। I can kind of understand where you're coming from as well. But yeah, I think उसमें अगर इनकी बात चली जाती है, हाँ, you want to raise a point?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I think India desperately needs a Rawalpindi type pitch. Now, I don't mean the current Rawalpindi pitch. I mean जो historically जो Rawalpindi, जो
हाँ,
like so throughout the
spinning
country,
back पर।
it's either dead. Yeah, throughout the country it's either dead या spinning track होता है, but Rawalpindi is that one place जहाँ पे it's a fast bowler's paradise. And I think वो थोड़ी सी variation हो तो मेरे ख्याल में अच्छा हो. It helps their players as well in a lot of ways, their batsmen particularly.
Well, I think at this point
I
the
think,
batsmen are better playing seam bowling than spin bowling, to be honest.
yeah,
मुझे ये लगता है कि they are much better at playing fast bowlers than they are at playing spinners. And at this point they have decent fast bowlers as well. Even India के fast bowler उमेश यादव ने भी विकेटें ली थी इस पिछले टेस्ट मैच में. And even before that their fast bowlers were doing well on spinning tracks overall. I think वो भी एक चीज की जा सकती है. That's something to consider as well.
plus इनके spin bowlers इतने अच्छे हैं, like Jadeja and like Ashwin are at a point of their careers कि even if you were to make a little like at some point आपकी seniority और आपकी maturity इतनी बढ़ जाती है कि आप you can basically take wickets on any pitch. This is what is happening with Nathan Lyon right now. He has achieved that level or accumulated that much experience कि even on tracks that you would normally not do well under, he's doing well now. So people like Ashwin, people like Jadeja, they are at a point of their careers कि अगर उनको थोड़ा सा अगर आप उनको fast bowling pitches में भी ले आए, they're not going to do badly. They're going to do pretty decent now. So it's not even a matter of कि आप अपने spinners को facilitate करो, but your spinners are good enough by this point to do well under any pitch. So I think वो थोड़ा yeah, they should really consider the spin tracks now.
Acha, and coming to the next test match, do you see like return of the empire? India वाले फिर से आके इनको लताड़ने की कोशिश करेंगे after the last test match, or do you think the Australians have it in them to actually end up drawing the series?
No, it's going to be a well-paid match.
Well paid.
Yeah.
Acha.
So no, let's
चलें?
Let's see. I actually don't know. With these pitches, you don't know. Honestly, there's a feeling that Australia jeeta hai. Even though Australia won comprehensively, I think winning by 9 wickets is a big deal on this pitch. But there is a sense that this win was a fluke in a lot of ways. Not because again they played well, but this could have really gone south for them as well. Because again, pitch is very unpredictable.
हाँ,
So yeah.
बिल्कुल. वो बात है एक बैट्समैन उनका फंस जाए, you have a collapse at some point, and then who knows, कुछ पता नहीं होता. तो वो बात है pitches like these, it's a toss of the coin literally. आपको पता नहीं है कि क्या situation. Like we'll see. Whenever the next test match happens, I think we can sit back and discuss the test match and the series as well. Overall, किस तरह से गई थी. But I think that's concluded, and we'll see you all next time.